being like under the guidance of Fabian Barel, like he's pretty involved. Like I see him on the side of the track, I see him in the pits with you guys. Like, yeah, whether you like it or not, he's gonna give input.
For sure.
How has that been? And we will get to that maybe later. Like coming off probably a different approach from someone like Peaty. Like
For sure.
You've been mentored and had guidance, whether you like it or not, from the two of the greats in the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I'm super thankful for. And honestly, even till this day, like I feel so lucky to have worked with both Fabian and Peaty and also be like great friends with both of them outside of racing. So yeah, it's been amazing. And yeah, like you said, couldn't be really more different. Their approach, their mentality, their advice even. I've cherry picked from both of them, like, but both, like, yeah, especially now Fabian, having worked with him the last 3 years. It's, to me, I love it because I feel like he's as motivated and as passionate about my results as I am. So having someone on the same wavelength and really like wants it that bad, and I feel like he's going to give me every bit of his knowledge and every bit of his info or whatever to help me, and I can then choose and take what I need or what I want. I'd for sure rather have the input and choose to use it or not than not have it.
Yeah.
I think some people struggle with it because, with Fabian, like if you're not putting in 100%, he's going to put in 100%. And if you're not matching that, it's not going to work. But if you're both fully committed, it works. And for me, it's been great. It's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've heard you speak about it and how grateful you are, which is like speaks to you as a person. I think that's why you can call them friends as well. Like,
yeah.
They're not going to be that helpful to someone that doesn't take it in or isn't thankful.
Right.
Like, they're obviously doing it. Like, mentoring someone is actually, people think like it's selfless, but it's kind of also selfish. Like, mentors get a lot out of if they give some advice and someone implements or says, I tried, that didn't work. Like, you get a lot from helping people.
Yeah.
So you mustn't forget that
yeah.
Like it is like two-way. But what are some of the things, like without giving away secrets, like what would you pull from Fabian and what do you pull from Peaty? Because I do think those two together is like quite an ultimate.
Oh yeah.
From like a relaxed guy to like a very analytical guy, but super competitive in PD, but has a good time.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to let things get to him. And Fabian like intense and analytical and testing and pushing the rules, in a good way.
Yeah.
And if you mesh those together correctly, like that's quite a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, for sure.
So let's pull some. Like what do you take from each?
Like Fabian, for one, he does not give a shit what people think about him.
Okay.
He will put himself in the best situation to perform at his best, and he doesn't care what people are going to think. Whether it's taking his visor off, whether it's doing all this crazy stuff, he will stop at nothing. Like, he's relentless.
Yes.
And he's so driven and motivated and so clued into the details, it's crazy. Like, some of the things that he'll tell me, I'll almost be like, wait, you joking? Like,
you noticed that
like
could make a difference?
I'll try to think of an example. I can't really right now, but like just so
please, if it comes to you,
so clued in on. Here's one. I remember one of the first times I was riding with the team, I set my bike down and I set it down on the derailleur side because we were just looking at the track or whatever. And he was like, hey, don't lie it down on that side. Like, you might bend your derailleur. And I was like, I looked, it wasn't touching. I was like, yeah, it's all good. And he's like, yeah, but you never know. Like, you could be like practicing at a race, bend your derailleur and then it throws off your practice run. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Like, he's build a better habit.
I was like, wow. All right. Like, at first I was like, you joking? Like,
yeah,
but it's just like,
get a
it's
rile
just
out of me.
every little thing. And for sure, sometimes it's like almost too much. It's like, dude, like, come on. But again, it's like, it's at the end of the day, he's right. Like, that could happen. Just like, and it's constant with things like that. It's just all the little details that so many people just, you know, don't even think about, that he's like on top of. So yeah, and it's like that with everything. And a lot of the times, you know, it'll save my ass. Like, like, and it's so funny because we always joke, like, we want to like kind of push back, but then when you think about it, it's like, man, he's right again. Yeah, like, he's God, like,
damn it, he knows what he's talking
like
about.
I want so bad to
like
push back and be like, no, that's not how it works.
Like,
but then you think about it, it's like, God, he's right again. Like, so that's always funny. The thing that I respect so much about Fabien as well, though, is whenever there's something that I don't agree with, like, I feel like we have enough respect for each other. I tell him, like, hey, Fabien, like, I actually think I need to do it this way, and here's why. And every single time, you know, he thinks about it, he's like, yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought about that before. You're totally right. And it's like, he doesn't get offended. He doesn't get, like, he takes it and goes with it. He's like, you know, you're totally right. I hadn't thought of it that way. And like, I think, you know, me and him have a really like good working relationship that way. Like, I'm not just blindly going to listen to everything he says. I am my own person, and I need to figure out what works for me at the end of the day. But I would love to hear his advice and his, you know, take on things. So yeah, after already 3 years working together, I feel like it really works well. Like, I enjoy working with him. He's a really, really good guy, and really at the end of the day wants the best for me. So I've been able to really use his expertise to my advantage. And like I was saying, you know, we're like good friends as well. Like, we respect each other. We have a good time together. He's a great guy. And with Peaty, same. Peaty, I feel like, has totally different approach. Way more relaxed, way more social. Definitely has more of like Peaty, I feel like I'm more similar to in the way we kind of like have friends at the races, like to socialize. Like, when I go to the race, like, you know, been going to these races for more than 10 years, like, a lot of the people at the race are my friends. So I want to hang out with them. I want to spend time with them. And Peaty is kind of on that same wave. So Peaty's like, he feels like he's like my uncle. Like, it feels like he feels like a relative, you know. He's like I've again had so much good time with Peaty, and he's just the most down to earth, solid dude. If you met him in a bar and didn't know who he was, you know, he'd just be a nice guy to chat to. Just for everything he's done, for him to be as humble as he is, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. That's and it takes like a lot of experience for you to be able to not take everything that someone that Fabien will say. If you say you're a bit more similar to Peaty, like, that can get riders in trouble as well, like having so much knowledge. Yeah. But what works for Fabien, not all of it will work for you, right? And the same as Peaty's, like, some serious racers or analytical might not understand Peaty's approach, but it seems like you've really been able to reflect and be like, I'm going to use a bit of that. That's my personality type. Yeah. And then this bit, I'm like, thanks, Fabien. Like, you are right. Yeah. But like, this is how I work. This is how I race. You know? And I mean, it's really important for riders, I think, to do that. Like, I've been on teams where I'm also very social, as you know. Mm-hmm. And with Brendan and you, we would, like, this is how we race well, is if we're in a happy place. For sure. People think we're distracted. People think we're having too much fun. But like, that's how you deal with the pressure, you know? So that's super cool to hear. But as a younger guy, I didn't understand Fabien. Yeah. And I was like, this is so kooky, or this is not cool. But I'm like, I just have so much respect for someone that goes, I don't care what someone thinks. My job is to win the race. And I will do whatever I can, or whatever bike setup I can to win the race. Like, you have to respect that as well and take parts of that and realize, you know what? Like, I learned that from EC as well. Like, he cut his jersey once. I was like, dude, that looks terrible. He's like, dude, it's not going to change my time on the track. Like, I'm comfortable. Like, I'm not even worried about this. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. It doesn't matter what color shoes I have on, even though I kind of want to look cool, you know? Like, but sometimes it's like, what's the job at hand?
For sure. And yeah, like, getting back to Peaty, like, that's the other thing too, getting to know him. Like, he's also so competitive and so incredibly, like, naturally skilled on a bike. Riding with him, even today, he's getting old. But he can
he won't admit it. He'll go as fast as humanly possible, right?
Oh, it's insane. I remember one year we were testing with Syndicate in Lusa, and Peaty was there. We were obviously with Fox testing on our downhill bikes. This is a few weeks before the first World Cup. We're like timed laps, like punching them out. With Syndicate, whenever we did testing, it was always timed laps, and the slowest person always had to wear like Kathy's clothes to dinner. Like,
I've heard about
and
this
it was
bet.
like cutthroat.
And it's a real bet. It happened.
It's cutthroat. Yeah, I had to do it.
We got to find the pictures for this.
Yeah,
clip.
it's like you don't want to be that guy, especially like just before the first race. Like, talk about a blow to the confidence. Like,
yeah, that's an interesting way to help you.
It was cutthroat. It was fun though. Like, looking back, it was great.
Yeah.
But I remember we were testing time lapse, full gas, pinned, and Peaty was there on his trail bike, and he was just like he would just go in the lift with us, chat to us. Sometimes he'd go down the side of the track, film or watch or whatever. But then most of the times he would just drop in behind us. Like, no timing chip, but just drop in behind us. And I remember not being able to drop him. Like, he was on my back tire on his trail bike at Lusa until he would get tired. Like, he would get tired and eventually he'd drop off. But I remember it'd be like halfway down the track and I still hear the big lad behind me. And I was like, how is this even possible? Like, he's on a trail bike and we've been like, we're like dialed on the track, like know all the lines, like fully pinned. And he's just like right on our back tire. Like, just the only thing stopping him was he would just get tired. So, man, he can move. Like, still he can ride. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. He lives for it. Like, he still goes to races now. Like, he's going to race here, I think.
Sweet.
Apparently last year he wadded himself and got a little hurt. But he just loves it. I'm like the complete opposite. But, all right, so in all those years, who wore the dress the most? Because I laughed because I feel like Greg wore it a bit because he is someone like you. Like, at the first World Cup, he'll be on the podium.
Yeah.
But at the test session, he'll be like last out of the 3 or 4 of you guys. Didn't that happen a bit?
Yeah. I mean,
or did he get motivated eventually? Like, I'm tired of wearing this.
It was funny because we, like, during my time on the team, I can for sure remember all 3 of us at one point wearing the dress. Like, I for sure had to do it once. I remember Loris having to do it once, and Greg. I would say it was pretty even. I'd say I was probably most of the time slowest. but I remember during like every test session, I remember there'd be a time where it's like, okay, like, here comes Greg's fast lap, because you could just see him like zone in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What, it looked like the top of a World
Cup? Oh,
yeah,
like he would all of a sudden like go quiet, no more jokes, no more this, and it was like, okay, we're racing now. Yeah. Like, this isn't testing anymore. This is like game on.
Like, I'm not wearing this dress.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's honestly the best prep you can do for a season. Like, talk about like, that's a race simulation right there.
No, it's a really good thing to put something on the line. Like, in golf, people put money on the line prepping for tournaments.
For sure.
Like, we need to feel...
You need to get that heartbeat going.
It needs to mean something. So, like, you need to bet enough money that you feel uncomfortable, or a bet you don't want to lose, because you don't want to lose that bet.
Oh, another funny one is, like, most of the time when we test with Fabian, he has a timing chip on his bike, and that's some pressure right there.
Yeah, that's annoying, because he's still, like, he's raced e-bikes and everything.
And he says he doesn't train anymore, but it's a load of bullshit. Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, if you're listening, Fabian, we all know it's bullshit. 100%. I need to get him on the pod, actually. I've been meaning to do that. And I saw him at an e-bike race.
Oh, he trained. He still trains.
He looks like
he's
so
fit as can be. I remember.
He's like beat you guys?
He's not beat me.
So he's beaten Troy. You're not gonna say. So he's not beaten you.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but I don't even think that's embarrassing.
No, and also it's always on his home tracks. That's not home tracks, but like San Romolo
did that to me.
Yeah,
his home track in Andorra.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, what? Yeah, and that was like when Danny and I were doing well.
I know. I remember we were testing in San Romolo. I think it was last year, and we were testing with RockShox like 3 days, like big 3 days. timed runs, all the whole thing. And I remember it was like last day, Fabien had been riding with us. He hadn't done nearly the amount of runs as we had, so he was fresh. We were exhausted. But I remember like towards the end of the last day, he finally puts the timing chip on his bike, and it was like, again, it was like game on, like here we go. And I remember seeing him do the lit like this, like
before his run,
and I was like, Gaber, like, give me a Coke, give me a gel, like I'm about to throw it down right here.
Yeah, because if he gets a time and you stop, then you.
And it was like fastest I've ever ridden just to beat him.
Really?
And thankfully I beat him, but it wasn't by much. Like he can also still go so fast. It's insane.
That's so good.
See, those
I
old,
it.
they're too competitive, those old guys. Like, oh my God.
With them still wanting to race, it just shows how naturally
Fabien is so competitive.
They live for it.
Yeah.
And like everyone
he lives for it. That's exactly right.
I can't say I'm not competitive, like, but I think I've learned to let it go a bit, or I don't really like the faff that comes with being competitive. Like, I would then have to set the bike up, and maybe if I get comfortable, but that's awesome, and it's fun. It makes for funny stories, and you're like, right.
I remember I said to Gabe,
this guy's not beating me right now.
Yeah. I was like, Gabe, give me those gels.
Did Gabe laugh? Like he knew what
Gabe was
going
like, you can't let this guy beat you right now. Like,
I can just
go,
hear
boy.
Gabe's voice.
Oh, it was so funny. But
That's great. Dude.
No, it's good. It's good prep. Don't want to get beat by your boss.